Welcome. We are back. Another day in the market. Pretty red day across the board. We're going to get into everything. What's up, the guys? Zeke, JSOB, Electrician, Jeff, Austin. We're going to get started with crypto. After that, we're going to talk about the overall market, quadruple witching this week, and FOMC meeting on Wednesday. Well, Tuesday and Wednesday. Yeah, just a lot going on. Getting closer and closer to the end of the year. We have, after this week, I think we have 2 more weeks before the year's over for the market. So let's get started with Bitcoin. And honestly, in general, with everything, today's dip across the board surprised me. If you watched last night's stream, pretty bullish. I mean, again, I said it very clearly that we still could be, putting in reversal lows. We still could go back down to test the lows from the week before last week for the market and for crypto. So it's not like I was saying like today we're going to be green for sure, but I was just thinking in general we get off to a good start this week. Whether it's one red day, which was today, and we just go back up tomorrow, but the level of selling that we saw for a little bit today did surprise me. I didn't think that we were going to have that much weakness today. So that's one thing I noticed from today. Futures are green. Russell 2000 futures up about 0.5%. And another thing I wanted to bring up was pretty much out of the last 4 or 5 FOMC minutes or meetings we've had that that lined up at Wednesdays or on Wednesdays at 2 p.m. we pretty much had 2 red days in a row leading up to that. So if you go back and look at the last 4 or 5 times we had FOMC meetings, the Monday and Tuesday prior to Powell's speech, or just the minutes, were typically red. Not for all of them, but for most of them for the last 4 or 5 times. So that's one thing I don't know if I brought it up last night on stream. I looked at it last night on stream. I think I just forgot to bring it up. So yeah, futures were up quite a bit last night. Unfortunately, the market didn't have too great of a day. Right now, Russell futures are kind of taking the lead, up 0.5%, while NASDAQ and S&P futures only up a little bit. Apart from the stock market, we're gonna get back to that. Let's talk about Bitcoin, which another one. I mean, just kind of surprised me that 7% drop. Basically, we talked about how Bitcoin was testing this resistance area last night. Sorry, my throat's weird. But Bitcoin was testing this resistance. You could see it was a high from over here and a low from over here, and even this previous demand line, and it pulled back 7% off that resistance, and now it went down to the support we talked about last night, which is the 200-day moving average. So if Bitcoin can hold this, I think it's going to have to retest 50.4K. If it breaks that, then 54K is possible. If it cannot hold this, I'd say 41 to 43K is probably the next zone it'll test, just zooming out, looking at supports. If Bitcoin breaks under 41K, that's when I get pretty nervous for Bitcoin in the short term. But as long as it's above that, it's still fine to me. Ethereum also got hit pretty hard. It's just trying to hold this demand line. It bounced off of this 3671 support that I've charted, from this high over here and this high over here, even a couple different lows over here. But you bounce off that for Ethereum for your low of the day, and then you close just pretty much at this demand line. So it's just trying to hold on to the demand line. We'll see how it closes tomorrow night on stream, and hopefully you could just get a bounce in these general areas. For Ethereum, OMI, just like most of the cryptos, dropped about 10% back down to support. So it's sitting at support. That's really not much of a technical change apart from that. That's really it for crypto. Now, what is going on with the market? That's pretty much the focus of the stream for the past couple of weeks and tonight and probably the rest of this week. It's just, for most of the time, we're spending most of the stream talking about individual stocks. But in times like these, it to me just makes way more sense to focus a lot more on the overall market and the indices and the major ETFs that other people are watching, right? So we're going to spend a good amount of time talking about what's going on. So let's kind of give everything some context. This was last Sunday night. I talked about how bullish things looked to me from a technical standpoint. We had an amazing rally last week off of the lows. You put in a 5% rally for the SPY in a week, which is very, very strong. Then once we got up to these areas, I showed you all that there was this bearish harmonic after it broke out of this descending broadening wedge. Looking back, you had a very similar structure over here at the end of October, which the bearish harmonic just didn't play out. And right now we can see you're getting a little bit of a difference compared to the last time we had one on that 1 hour chart, where you got up to the 89% retrace, 90% retrace, and then you actually pulled about 1% off of that level. So now we're kind of in a situation where you actually are showing resistance where there is resistance. If we look left, this 470 level, it's resistance over here and over here and over here. So very, very quickly, things are changing. My viewpoint from last night is now a little bit different, at least for the SPY in the NASDAQ. So we're getting a reaction now. We kind of already got a reaction over here. We had almost a 1% pullback, 0.75%, and now we have pretty much a 1% pullback off the high it just put in. So that's pretty much 2 times it's pulled back off the level. So the SPY is starting to show a little bit of weakness right now, which is interesting to me. And then also, we take a look at the QQQ. This kind of works with the NASDAQ as well, but we were talking about this resistance, right? You couldn't even get up to test the resistance today. It just kind of had a bearish engulfing candle on the QQQ, and you took out the low from like the last 4 days on the QQQ, but you did fill a gap from December 3rd. So, well, actually, I think this will be the gap fill. I think I'm just confused because of that candle. So no, you didn't fill a gap, it looks like. So this would be your close. Oh, okay. And let me skip that song. But you're kind of taking out that little low. So for the large cap indices, you're starting to show some weakness. Now, the one level where I'm hoping the SPY can hold it tomorrow, but I can't promise that it will, is 466.3. You can see clearly on this 1 hour chart, this candle low, this candle low, this candle close, and the candle low from today. So 466.3, that's the level you want to defend tomorrow. It's literally inches below you. If it gaps under that level, I'm probably going to take the morning off. And if we go down to lower time frames, you can see it more clearly. Where this has been your support. If this breaks tomorrow, you could get a larger move down. So you kind of had this little fake out at the close on Friday. If I delete this for a second, this was kind of a fake out as of right now. And just large selling into the close. Dropped 1/3% in the final 15 minutes of the day for the SPY. So large cap indices, they're starting to roll over. Now keep in mind, I think we kind of talked about this last night. You know, everything looks a-okay, super bullish market, but really it's 5 to 10 stocks that are just dragging up the NASDAQ and the S&P 500. That's really what it is. You know, so many stocks, I think more than half of them have been selling off for a long time. So many stocks peaked in February and haven't even gotten close to those February peaks, and they're making new all-time lows now. So the SPY and NASDAQ, they're not representing the whole market, especially for small cap and mid cap traders. But now what we're starting to see is names like Apple. Sorry, on my watch list. Apple was down 2% today, okay? Nvidia was down 7% today. Tesla was down 5% today. AMD was down 3% today. All of these names that are dragging up the large cap indices are starting to pull now after literally running nonstop. I mean, take a look at Nvidia. This thing just ran nonstop from like literally just running and running and running, and now it's starting to pull back. Now, same thing if we take a look at Apple. It was just running, and today was really one of the first big red days for Apple in a while. So now you're starting to see those names, when they're not holding up the indices anymore, you very, very, very easily can go red. So that's pretty much the concern here. If these names aren't holding up the indices, your SPY and your NASDAQ are going to start falling. Now, if they start falling, that causes a situation where people will wake up and they see the SPY's down 1% because names like Apple or Microsoft are down 1 or 2%. And then that causes people to sell when they wake up in the morning thinking, all right, it's going to be a red day. And then that brings on all the other stocks that are like mid caps and small caps. So when you have something as important as the SPY or the NASDAQ or the Dow Jones being red because of only a handful of names, that creates kind of this ripple effect where people just see that the market's red and they sell because of that in fear. So that's what I'm worried about. What's the potential good scenario? Well, I mean, looking at futures right now, Russell futures are outperforming overnight currently. Really, what I'd like to see if we start getting a pullback off these levels for large cap indices is strength in the small cap and mid cap market. This used to happen so often, but I truly can't remember in the last 5 or 6 months when there was a time where the NASDAQ and the S&P were selling off, but the Russell and the ARK were up. I'm sure there was a few days here and there, but I'm just saying that really hasn't been the theme for so many months now. But it used to be the theme in February and in January and February, right? You had the NASDAQ and the S&P and just a lot of large caps. Even last fall in 2020, a lot of large caps just going sideways for a long time, right? If we take a look at Apple over here, it just went sideways pretty much from September to April, right? Just went sideways. Meanwhile, you had so many stocks. While Apple was selling off from January to the middle of, March or February, this is when a lot of stocks were going bonkers. I mean, if we take a look at the ARK ETF, look what it was doing between November of last year and February, right? So you had a lot of outperformance for small caps and mid caps. That's really, in my opinion, the most optimal scenario. Of course, I guess the best scenario always just everything goes up, but yeah, that's kind of how I'm changing my viewpoint right now. We're starting to see this weakness. I'm just hoping that we don't get the same thing we've been getting for months, where if the S&P and the NASDAQ fall like 1%, then you see the Russell and the ARK ETF down like 3 or 4%. That's what makes it nearly impossible to swing when you get scenarios like that. So that's what I'm watching out for. And now on top of that, we have FOMC. I don't know if it's minutes, but we have FOMC meeting Tuesday, which I don't think we're going to be really hearing much tomorrow. And then Wednesday, we get an economic, I don't know if projections are the right word to use. What word was used? Yeah, it is projections. So we're getting a statement from Powell as well. So Wednesday's going to be a big day. Everybody's going to see what's the deal with tapering. Is it going to be speeding up? Is it not? What's the Fed's thoughts on inflation? And that's going to be a big day. And then also, I didn't even realize this last night, but quad witching is this week as well. I think it's the third Friday of the first month of the year. The third month. No, it's like the third Friday of 4 different months. Like, I think it's the final month of each quarter, maybe. When is, I think it's in January too. Okay, yeah. So third Friday of March, June, September, and December. Okay. So that's what you got. You've got a big week right now. Hopefully these futures can hold, at least for the Russell, but that's what I'm watching. Going into tomorrow, just to be direct for the SPY, if it can somehow hold 466.3, that would be amazing. If it can't, then I'm going to be watching 465, and after that around 462. Now let's talk about the Russell 2000. Dropping down. This is kind of the same thing for pretty much most of the swings, as well as the Russell 2000 and the ARK ETF. Okay, all of us, I'm going to pat myself on the back here a little bit, did an amazing job of calling this low. I'm actually going to use the word calling. You all know how much I hate that word, of calling this bottom, okay? Last Sunday night, even the Friday before that, okay? Did a great job of calling the initial bottom. However, personally, I didn't do the best job of putting out swings because I was putting out the majority of swings around over here, right? So that's frustrating me a little bit, but all I'm hoping for, and the way that the swings are designed is, I put out the swings here, but my stops on the swings are around over here under that low. So all I'm looking for a lot of these swings for the Russell 2000, for the ARK ETF, is simply just to reverse above this zone. Whether it's the same exact low it bounces off of or it's a higher low, I'm looking for an equal low for a double bottom or a higher low double bottom. If we can get that, that means not once but twice, small cap and mid cap market participants will be confirming that they want to buy stocks at the levels that they're at. That's all I'm looking for this week. Because if we start getting those curls, then you have a major double bottom that took about 2 weeks to put in after large decreases in price, and you really haven't seen any double bottoms. This is one bottom. Really haven't seen that type of formation in a long time on these types of indices. So that's what I'll be looking for. For an example over here, look at this, okay? You were selling off on the Russell 2000, you put in a low, you rallied, you put in a slightly higher low, and then you really rallied, okay? Same thing over here. You were selling off on the Russell 2000, you put in a low, you rallied, then you came back down, made a slightly higher low, and then you really rallied, right? You had a higher rally than the first rally. That's what I'm looking for. I need that to be crystal clear. If we can get that, the weekly sheet can be green instead of red. That simple. So I'm hoping that between Tuesday and Wednesday, we start putting in a local bottom on the small cap, mid cap indices. And I'm keeping a very close eye on how all these, top 5, top 10 holdings of the NASDAQ and the SPY or the QQQ and the SPY kind of react in the next few days. That's what I'm watching. I'm going to repeat it again. I'm watching for the IWM and for the ARK ETF to make a higher low above their lows on December 6th, or at least the same low. That's the first thing I'm watching. Second thing I'm watching is the top 5 to 10 holdings of the SPY and large cap indices, and seeing when those names are selling off, how are the small cap and mid cap indices reacting. That's how I'm going about the market this week. That'll include what happens on Wednesday. I'm going to be watching all of that. And it also includes, we'll just see the price action on Friday with quad witching. So that's my thoughts roughly. Yeah, it's pretty simple. If we take a look at the Russell 2000 as well on the 15-minute chart, you had a triple classic bullish divergence at the low of the day around an 886 retrace, and it had a nice little rally off of it. I shared this in the Discord, like pretty much right over here with everybody, not just in premium. Same thing on the SPY. Had a bullish shark intraday. Didn't mean to do that. Had a bullish shark intraday. And then also on the 5-minute, it was in a downsloping channel, had a double bottom at a support zone, and I also shared this in the Discord right over here today. So join the Discord. That's in the description. Join the Discord if you want to see my intraday analysis on the market. We're probably going to come back to those charts a little bit later, but apart from the indices, the US 10-year pulled back a little bit, or 5%. The VIX, we talked about this level as well. This 200-day moving average, we talked about it last week, I believe. You're bouncing off of that for the VIX just a little bit. And then gold, kind of curling up just a little bit with hidden bullish divergence nearly complete. It's just got a little bit of resistance in this little area. The dollar, ooh, it's testing a breakout of this little pennant that we've been talking about. So we'll see how that looks in 22 hours or tomorrow night on stream. And bearish engulfing candle for the Hang Seng Index. That's pretty much it. Even the Dow Jones. Dow Jones actually looks really interesting to me right here. If they can hold this 35.5K level, that looks pretty nice. So that's my thoughts on the overall market. It's pretty straightforward, but at the same time, I really want to get the point across that, like, we're close. We are very, very, very close to this type of setups you can get for small caps and mid caps that lead to stuff. I'm not going to say like all of this, but you know, maybe something like this. We're really, really close to getting confirmation of that for the small cap and mid cap and growth indices, where we really, you know, most of the stocks that put in their all-time highs around February, you know, the group I'm talking about, are now sitting, you know, 50, 60, 70, 80% lower. So those type of stocks, I mean, if we can get some more confirmation here, they're really, really, really starting to set up, but you just need to stop this short-term bleeding above this initial low. Because if you put in a lower low, then who knows where the next floor will be. So that's what I'm watching. We're getting very, very, very close. I'm carefully watching these areas on the daily, just looking to hold them or just get out of here. So if that can happen, we could see some nice times. We'll see. Let's talk about CLOV and Fisker first. CLOV, still watching that supply line on the 4-hour chart. That's really it. There's nothing on the daily to talk about. If we go down to lower time frames, however, I had like a little bit of an oversold bounce today on the 1-hour chart. You're developing hidden bullish divergence, and if you can run back up to this supply line before, and honestly, I think you're going to get it. I think it's going to happen. Pretty much you're getting a partial decline on CLOV, because really, for CLOV to not get a partial decline, it's going to have to do something like this for it to not get a partial decline. So I don't think CLOV is going to go under 3. I mean, I'll be surprised if it does. But really all CLOV needs to do is tap that supply line, and you have a 70% chance of a breakout with this partial decline. For newer people, that means within your pattern, you did not return to the demand line before hitting the supply line. You hit the demand line, you hit the supply line, you dipped a bit, and you only had a partial decline, not a full decline. And if you can get back up to that supply line, it gives you a decent chance of a breakout. Even on the 15-minute, I'm watching a little bit of a scuffed harmonic over here. It's, you know, close to a bat, but got down to a 786 instead of an 886. And it started curling there as well. I caught this intraday as well. Shared with premium members literally around the low of the day. I think around like 415, 416 is when I shared this chart with premium members today. Had a nice little 2% move. That's really it for CLOV. Fisker, look what I'm looking at right now. I also sent this to premium after the market closed. I was doing a little bit of scanning after hours. Fisker has this 1-hour Gartley. Bounced up like 2%. I don't know, maybe if Fisker maybe retests this low, bounces off of it again, or even if it just starts showing volume tomorrow morning, I'm going to be watching Fisker, maybe for a day trade, either tomorrow or on Wednesday, depends on how the volume looks. So I'm watching that on Fisker. However, when you go to higher time frames, there really isn't much to talk about. You have resistance around 19 bucks, like we talked about last night. Your support's the 200-day moving average around 1630. You had a bearish engulfing candle today. You have the potential for hidden bullish divergence on the daily and 4 hour. We'll see if it can eventually confirm. I'm just hoping to see if, you know, this little formation could maybe lead to something cool. Even on the 1 hour chart, you're getting a little bit of a double bottom, maybe dragon type of formation here. So Fisker is going to be one of the first stocks I look at tomorrow morning on low time frames. 1 hour dragon, 15-minute Gartley. But again, these are just low time frames. We'll see what happens. So that's Fisker. You know what I'm going to do before we get to swings, I'm actually going to talk about some trade recaps from today. So I put out 5 options ideas in premium today. I'm only going to talk about 3 because 2 of them haven't really played out yet. So I'm going to talk about the first one, Lucid. Now, last night on stream, I did bring this up, okay? I brought this chart up on all of your screens. Last night on stream, I showed you this shark-ish pattern, shallow B to D wave. I showed you the classic bullish divergence on the 1 hour. I showed you the bullish pin bar off the PCC, which also happens to be a previous support and resistance area from the past. I showed you all those variables last night. This morning, Lucid was up like 7% pre-market. I noticed that when I woke up, and I saw early in the day that it was all the way up to 40. I didn't want to get Lucid, you know, up already 5-6% on the day. So I was like, all right, let me wait for a pullback. All right, we'll see if we get a nice little pullback buy later today. Waited for a couple hours, and then around 11:30, here's what happened. All right, so let's go down to around extended hours for a second. Let's see if I can find this. How was I looking at this again? It's gonna take forever to find this chart. Okay, so it's a 5-minute. Why can't I? It just looks so different to me now. Oh, this is why it looks different. All right, so I saw using pre-market data that if we line it up like this, at this area right over here, if you included the pre-market, because again, it gapped up pre-market, went all the way up to 41 something and change. It hit that level, and then it created this little bat using extended hours. And then you can see this green arrow is where I kind of alerted this. Now on the 5-minute with extended hours, you had that bat PCC. I'm going to turn off extended hours now. And then what else was there? So this was pretty much where that bat PCC lined up with extended hours on. Then I saw it was starting to create this little wedge pattern, and it was trying to fill the gap up from the morning, right? And then also it was back testing this little previous resistance area. So that was pretty much my idea for the trade. There was other stuff too. Let's see if I could find it. 30-minute, yeah. So I already talked about the 1 hour shark and the pin bar and the divergence. JSOB electrician with the $5 super chat, appreciate it very much. Vibes in the chat. Drop the vibes in the chat. Thank you very much for the tip. Everybody, drop some vibes right now. Appreciate it. So also on the 30-minute, I was seeing that it was sitting around all of these EMA supports on the 30-minute chart on the pullback. And then obviously, like I showed you all in the 1 hour, had all those different variables. So that was the idea for the trade, and here's what happened with Lucid today. Back down to the 5-minute. That green arrow is where I alerted it. It was 38 bucks. Unfortunately, at this time, the market was selling off. This was around 11:10. Let's go over to the SPY. And you can see this was pretty much the wave that also brought Lucid down. And yeah, the calls were down around 20% here. That's where the trade failed at to market right on the sheet. So it dropped about 2-3% from when it was alerted, and then unfortunately the calls didn't work out. But some people did hold. Didn't use stops, just held through it. And that's when a crazier move, that's when really the move I was initially hoping for, that's when it really happened. So then off the low, went up 8%. The options must have went up like 30, 40%. I didn't even look. I know they went up 20% just from the entry price alone. So I'm sure if anybody even got it over here, you could have been up like 100%, honestly. So yeah, I messed up my timing with the Lucid trade today, but it did kind of eventually do what I wanted to, just not at the right time. So that was the one failed trade from today. What's up with the other two? We're going to start off with SPY. I already kind of showed this earlier, but I alerted SPY at the low of day for premium members SPY calls. It had this wedge formation coming down into this support over here, support zone. And I think there was Bollinger Bands that were being tested. Yeah, so it was at the lower Bollinger Band as well, as you can see right over here. Then if we go over to the 15-minute, there was a shark, which you probably even see clearer on the 5-minute. I just like splitting it up between the time frames. You had the shark pattern, pretty simple, not too crazy. Even the MACD was crossing over on the 5-minute. If we go back to over there, see that MACD was curling over to green, and yeah, alerted it right over here. The SPY itself made about almost 0.5% move intraday, and the calls went up about 17%. And I did say when they were at 17% was pretty much like the max profit. I said I was gonna mark them as green on the sheet, and I was literally at the high. So, yeah, like minutes, not minutes, but like maybe like an hour or two after that, or half an hour. Then it just randomly dropped out of nowhere, but it did go up first, so that was a good trade from today. And then finally, before we talk about swings, the final trade recap from today is Apple. This did work out. You're probably saying, wait, how did it work out if you alerted it here and it dropped? Well, there were puts. So I was watching Apple puts today. Let me break down my thought process behind the trade. I was looking at the 1-hour chart. I noticed that there was classic bearish divergence on both oscillators on the 1-hour. Even on the 4-hour, there's classic bearish divergence on the RSI. And took a look at this rising wedge breakdown as well on the 1-hour, broke the demand line. So this was pretty much my idea for the trade. And then on lower time frames, it had this little triangle pattern, and as soon as I saw that it was breaking down, I alerted it. So it was alerted right over here, and within half an hour, the calls went up about 37%. So not the calls, the puts. I always get that confused, the puts. So the puts worked out. So yeah, SPY calls were a win, Apple puts were a win, but Lucid calls, they failed over here, but eventually they made the move I was hoping for. And then there was two others, which I'm not going to talk about. Maybe I'll talk about them tomorrow, depending on how the trades work out. I mean, I'm going to talk about them if they win or if they're losing trades. It just depends on how long they take to become winning or losing trades, right? So yeah, those are the trades I can talk about from today in premium. First link in the description if you want to join. And let's move on to the swings. We're going to get started with DraftKings, which is down, yeah, pretty much for most of the swings. I already talked about this when we looked at the Russell 2000. It's the same thing for pretty much all of these swings right now. I just want them to see a same low or a higher low than the lows they put in at the beginning of the month, okay? The lows we were able to catch, I want them to see the same low or a higher low, all right? So DraftKings, same thing here. Technicals pretty much look the same. They really do. You're down 12% from the entry, and you kind of are back under the supply line, but they kind of look the same, to be fair. So I just want to see it make a same low or a higher low than this low. That's why the stop is positioned where it is, right? Most of these swings, that stop is right under that previous low from last week. This one's a little bit different. I'm going to get to that in a second. That one's different too. But here we go. GM. This stop is under that low. Snapchat. This stop is under the support zone. VLO. That was from weeks ago. And then SWN, same thing. If we go over to the weekly. So, you know, that's kind of how I'm positioning the swings, right? You can see. This was your low from last week. This is the stop. Now let me actually break down all the swings to give updates on them. So on the daily, just want to hold above 27.65 on DraftKings, which was your low from July 14th of last year. However, go down to lower time frames. Take a look at this 1 hour. You're still kind of back testing the breakout if you really zoom in on the 1 hour with developing hidden bullish divergence. Go down to the 30-minute. You have hidden bullish divergence on the 30-minute. You're in this downsloping channel. Let's go down to the 15-minute. And you have a bullish cipher which double bottomed at the PCZ with classic bullish divergence. So really, really interesting low time frame technicals for DraftKings that I'm keeping a close eye on. Now we're going to talk about SU. Puppet handle, I think this was right around Friday. Not much of a technical change. The stop here is just under the 200-day moving average and the 50% retrace. If you really zoom in, you could see that. That's your 50% retrace. That's the stop. I don't know why I keep doing that. So that's really it for SU. Just want to see a pivot at some point this week. Not much of an update. I know they're not doing too well short term, but I'm thinking more long term. All I care about is where all these swings end up. GM, same thing. It actually did break a little bit of a demand line today on the 4-hour, unfortunately. So it is possible for GM to go and back test this neckline in the 200-day moving average area if the market continues to be red. So we'll see. Remember, I put out an announcement and I pinged everybody in the Discord that I wasn't perfectly trying to time all of the entries on the swings this round of swings. I pinged all of you last week in announcements and I said, I'm just going to be throwing out a couple swings here and there every single day because I'm bullish on the overall sentiment of a lot of these stocks long term. But trying to pick out every single entry perfectly, it just takes a lot of pressure, and it makes you overthink a lot. So really, I said right off the rip, I said scaling on these trades is very important, right? Because if we're seeing that there's a decent chance they could dip, then you'd rather be able to be buying in these areas because you're not in a full position size yet, then rather than being in a full position size over here and then just hoping in these areas and not really lowering your average cost. Now, again, some people don't like cost averaging, some people do. I like cost averaging personally, but hopefully that, I don't know, helped. And then Snapchat got stop hunted today, but ended up closing just around that little support from December of last year and March of this year. Hopefully you can just hold it, even fill this gap over here. So tomorrow for a lot of these swings is a huge bounce back day. I really hope a lot of them can kind of get some air tomorrow. Same thing for VLO, pulled back. That's just the overall sentiment. You know, it's not really any of these stocks individually. It's just the overall sentiment right now. So this is just testing support. SWN, the gap down today, but it's still above this 490 level and 200-day moving average. And it's only down a few percent, I believe. 5%, never mind. And then we just want to see a pivot. So really in a lot of these swings right now, I know it's not looking too good right now, but a lot of these have so much potential, like so much potential, like January and June type potential. If you were here in January and June, you know exactly what I'm talking about when I'm talking about the swings. If they can hold these lows from last week, that's all I'm going to say. And then finally, the new one from today is Wix. I talked about this last night on stream. I brought this up. So you really shouldn't be surprised that it's a swing now. It's up a little bit since the entry. Just testing the PCZ of a cipher in an inflection zone with triple classic bullish divergence on the daily inside of a wedge. Quite a few variables. We'll see how it goes. That's really it for the swings. What else do I want to talk about? Oh, STRN. This one's been picking up quite a bit of chatter. I showed you all that I was watching Fisker for tomorrow to see how this plays out. STRN is another one I'm watching for tomorrow. Not a lot of data on the chart, not something I typically would trade, but very clear cup and handle. So with the data you do have on the chart, it's very, very clear. Even if we put on extended hours, you can see it's kind of breaking that handle. Even if we chart it with extended hours, it's kind of breaking this handle, and that pretty much puts it at all-time highs. So I'll probably look into a little bit in the morning. I don't really know anything about this company right now, just looking at the chart because I saw a bunch of people on Twitter talking about it. But STRN, I'm keeping a close eye on it. In terms of how I'd break down this chart, I'm actually going to use extended hours here. So let me just rearrange this. The measured move of this cup and handle, again, measured moves I think really only work when you have a lot of data on a chart. There's really not much you can do with the measured move on low data, but just for fun, the measured move of this cup and handle puts you right under 10 bucks. Around 980. That's your measured move. If you want to use fibs, you could do that as well. I'd probably use fibs with regular trading hours. So I'd probably go from this high over here down to this low. And your 1272 resistance is 675, your 1618 is 734, and your 2618 is 9 bucks. In terms of support, honestly, this whole entire zone is support here. Like 519, like 520 to 620 is support. This whole entire zone could be regarded as support. If it breaks, then I say like 450 after that because of this low and this high, and these lows and this low. So pretty easy to break down this chart despite the lack of data on it. So just what I'm watching, I don't even know if I'll trade it. It depends on how volatile it is. But nonetheless, nice price action recently on this one. What else do I want to talk about? I'm just gonna bring up all of them. So I sent like a bunch of different charts to premium members after hours because I did some scanning. I literally did scanning yesterday for the premium watch list, and I just felt like doing more scanning today. So there's only 18 people in here. I guess you're all going to be getting a few more charts. I've been trying to do this a lot recently. Hopefully you're enjoying it, because usually on most of my streams, I'm not really bringing up like things on my watch list and stuff like that. I just talk about the swings and then we do ticker requests. But I don't know, maybe some people enjoy this part of the stream. But other things I'm watching, Palantir on the 1 hour has classic bullish divergence, kind of a double bottom, is potential double bottom as well. As you can see right over here, and it's in the downsloping channel, pretty close to testing the supply line. So I'm watching Palantir on the 1 hour for short term. I'm also watching Robinhood, pretty similar chart, classic bullish divergence on the RSI in this downsloping channel and testing the supply line. So I'm watching both Palantir and Hood tomorrow to see if they can break out of their supply lines. I already told you I'm watching Fisker. So far, Fisker 1 hour chart, Robinhood 1 hour chart, Palantir 1 hour chart, STRN 1 hour chart is what I'm watching. That's my short-term watch list for the rest of the week currently. It might change tomorrow. And then I also found 2 other longer-term charts that I added to my long-term watch list. I have a short-term watch list and a long-term watch list. So I just showed you 4 tickers on my short-term watch list. One more time: Fisker, Robinhood, Palantir, and STRN. And then I have a longer-term watch list, and 2 tickers that I added to my long-term watch list today were Zoom and Activision. So to start with Zoom, again, just like all these other stocks I'm talking about, just want to see it make a same low or a higher low than that low from December 6th, which was a hammer candle. And what's the context? You have classic bullish divergence on the daily for Zoom at the PCZ of a mega bullish bat. So this is one I added to my watch list today, and then another one, Activision, a major shark back from the COVID crash, and it's back testing this $57 level, which was resistance over here in 2019, and support in 2017, and yeah, 2017. That's really it. So yeah, Activision and Zoom are 2 that I added to my longer term watch list. All right, so those are 6 takers in total that I shared with Premium earlier today. So yeah, that's pretty much majority of what I wanted to talk about tonight. Really haven't read the chat at all, so I could read it for a second. Well, I missed like everything in the chat. I just kind of, I don't know, went all in. Yeah, AMC kind of got crushed today. Same thing for GameStop. But AMC, if it drops down to $20.54, you're at the PCZ of almost Gartley, and you're back testing a high from January of this year when it went crazy. But that's also a high from September of 2018, and that's also a low from February of 2016. That's also a double bottom from 2014. So let me make sure my alert. Oh, my alert's already set there. So I'm keeping very close eyes on $20.50 for AMC. It's already set up on my watch list as well. Have a good one, Jack. Also, I think Jack is Lord Bogendorf. Let's see if I can do this correctly. Shout out to Lord Bogendorf for dropping all of this knowledge today in this channel, the Indicators channel. All of this knowledge is free for everybody in the Discord. Really impressed with the work he did. So this is a new channel in the Discord as of today. Crazy amount of info in there. Make sure to check it out. Link for the Discord is in the description. And what was I just about to talk about? Oh, I was reading the chat. Max plan for this week is 6 for CLOV. How? It is. That's actually pretty surprising to me. I'm seeing a lot of chats. I'm just not seeing like many chats that I could really give input or really reply to. Shareholder sold nearly 64 million shares of its stock on SOBN. All right, thank you for that. Justin says, yeah, if it hits on that, I'm going in on AMC. I don't even know if I'm going to go long AMC at that level. I'll definitely be keeping a very close eye on it, but I'd like to see probably, you know, some divergence or double bottom or something. Can you give input or reply to his chat? I just did, Zeke. Any thoughts on small caps? That's pretty much what I spent like the first 20 minutes of the stream talking about. They'll be in the timestamps, which should be up like an hour from now. Just a quick summary. I just want a lot of these small caps and the small cap and mid cap indices to hold above or match their lows from December 6th. Because then you can get a major double bottom, which means twice within a 2-week period, buyers stepped in at the same exact prices on all of these stocks at the same time. And that's really, people don't understand how meaningful that is. If that confirms, I'm telling you now, we're going to come back to all these streams from the past week. If it confirms in a month or two, while everybody's FOMOing into the stream, because all the stocks are running to like 60, 70, 80% off their lows. And then people are going to be FOMOing in. If we get this confirmation, those are the type of things that can really happen. And I'm not saying that for every stock, not every single small cap, mid cap is going to go up 60, 70, 80%. I'm just saying major sentiment shifts can occur when you confirm literally multiples of sectors at the same time bottoming on high time frames. And by bottoming, I want to make this clear, I'm not saying like the bottom is in no matter what it's going to hold. I'm saying bottoming in terms of a double bottom pattern. I'm talking about bottoms as patterns right now. I'm not talking about it as like, oh, I'm calling the bottom right now. No, I'm looking at this as a pattern that's taking place, right? I'm looking at the psychology behind all of this. Justin says, are you bear now? No, I'm not. Again, all of my analysis in the beginning of the stream. If anybody missed it, go watch it. Like I said, I just want to hold the lows from last week. If we can do that, that would be really important to me. And I am keeping a close eye on the top 5 to 10 stocks in the SPY and like the QQQ and the large cap indices. Because I think if those start really pulling, that's going to start pulling the SPY and the QQQ and stuff like that, where so many of the stocks in those indices have been on a horrible downtrend for months, but the indices are running to new all-time highs because like their top 5 to 10 stocks just going to the moon, like Nvidia and Apple and Microsoft and stuff like that. So yeah. The guy also wants input and a reply for that chat. There you go. Are there any charts that anybody wants me to look at really quickly? I'm gonna look at a few tonight. I'm gonna skip that song. App run has been crazy. It sure has. A little bit of a shift today, though. Not much I can do on this chart. Neo, there's not much I can do on Neo either. I looked at it today when I was scanning. It's a little bit confusing, the chart right now. Just kind of testing a support zone. That's really it. Why is it not working? Oh, we already looked at SC, didn't we? Yeah, we did. It'll be in the timestamps. Really not much of a technical change though on SC. Just pulled back a little bit because most stocks did today. Yeah, AMD, I mean, just had its lowest close since November 4th. Just a little bit of a gap fill at 130. I'll just chart the levels really quick. There are levels I see next for AMD. I'm not saying it's going to go there next, just next levels I see. Broke down from this little range it's been in. I honestly think at some point, I think it might make a higher low than 120. So maybe some hidden bullish divergence can confirm. You know, let's see if it, second. Gotta sneeze. I know you could look at it like you could try it this high to this high, or do this as well. That's a pretty shallow C point. I don't know, let's say it does drop down to these levels, right? Drops down over here, which you could see you had a little bit of consolidation around this level. Drops down to, like, you know, a little bit above 120. Then you have potentially at that point hidden bullish divergence confirming. That's, you know, those are the variables I'd be looking for on AMD in general. I know you said the 15-minute, I think. So let me delete all that. So if we take a look at the 15-minute, it's kind of pushing up against supply line. Probably try it like this, a little bit of a falling wedge. I'd say support's like 134 on the 15, so you probably want to reclaim that 134.5. Zoom out. And you could have a cipher maybe around 127, but then more so. I think this is what we might have just looked at before. I don't know if it was the same type of pattern, but that's AMD. XPEV. It's testing a make or break area. This 45 level was resistance over here. Resistance, support. It's testing it again. Make or break area. If it breaks it, next resistance I see is $50. Actually, no, if it bounces off of it, next resistance I see is like $50 to $51. This little zone over here. If it breaches it, then support I see is probably around 42.50. MRO, potential for hidden bullish divergence. And not much apart from that. I'd like to just see it hold above 14. Very, very important historical level. Next major resistance I see is around 19. So yeah. SOFI. It's at a support zone. You know, just like a lot of other stocks. Just got to see it if it can hold that support zone and then eventually confirm that hidden bullish divergence and run, or not. If it breaks it, then there's not a lot of support under 1365. That's clear. We looked at SOFI already. We already looked at PLTR on the 1 hour. It's testing a supply line. I'm watching it tomorrow. Potential for a double bottom, make or break areas over here. We looked at SWN as well, and we did the swing recaps. That'll be in the timestamps. If you're requesting any of the ongoing swings, I've already covered them tonight. Horizon, who remembers this? Who remembers this steel wall of resistance? It's not just this. Let's go over to the weekly. It's all the way back. There we go. It's all the way back to 99, and it was the top in 2018, 2019, 2020. Yeah. Such a huge resistance for Verizon. 61, 62. Reversal here. I don't know. It's a little bit deep for a shark, I think. %, retrace. I don't really see much of any variables on Verizon. I could see it going either way. I'd say this $50 level in general is the support. But you all know how I feel about AT&T as well. If you watched what must have been maybe last Wednesday's or something stream. I can't remember when I talked about AT&T. Oh, you're all good, Mr. 90210. Just letting you know. How's T going? Not doing much yet, but it's AT&T. It moves very, very slowly. I'm not in AT&T for right now. Not much I can do on this chart, except chart levels. Those are all of your levels on CRTX. Maybe a little bit of a triangle pattern here. Yeah, it's a pattern. Or if you want to connect it, then you got a wedge. However you want to look at it. Yeah, I don't even know fundamentally why Verizon and AT&T are selling off like they are. I mean, they really just haven't done so much in a long time. BABA. Not much to talk about. Very strong resistance is at 130. Very strong supports at 108. It's sitting pretty much in between them. I think, not financial advice, I think a break above 130 is bullish. I think a breach below 108 is bearish. That simple to me is, I'm looking at BABA, but I haven't really been keeping, what the, how do I like, there we go. What was I even going to say? I was just going to say keep up with the fundamentals probably. So yeah, it's going to be it for the stream. Thank you for watching tonight. Make sure to tune in tomorrow night at 8 or 9 o'clock. I'm not sure yet which time yet. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button if you want to join premium. That's the first link in the description. If you want to play in the simulator game, it's free to join. That's the third link in the description. Top 3 placements at the end of the month get a prize. If you want to get 2 free stocks on Liable, that's the 5th link in the description. The Discord is the 6th link, and the course I think is like the 8th link in the description. All the links are there. Have a good night. Good luck trading tomorrow if you choose to trade, and peace out.